Welcome back to the Tournament Center. Randy Buehler here with Brian David Marshall. We've been wandering the floors of Pro Tour Berlin, and it's really interesting how many cards from Shards of Alara we've seen already in just the 2 or 3 rounds we've been watching.
Yeah, the set has already had a tremendous impact. The most obvious and biggest impact has been in Zoo.
Okay.
You know, if you look at the Zoo deck, we talked about it earlier, it's probably one of the most popular decks being played here, and Wild Nicodle is the man.
That really is.
People are just dropping, you know, Figure of Destiny was like the all-star one drop after the last set was released, but Wild Nicodle has supplanted that guy. I mean, he's always attacking for 3 on turn 2. I mean, if he's not only is he attacking for 3 on turn 2, but he can attack for 3 on turn 2, and you can play your Tide Hollow Sculler. No problems with your mana. Tide Hollow Sculler is a card that I'm seeing in a lot of the Zoo decks. They're disrupting some of the combo decks. You know, really just breaking up people's plans, buying themselves a turn. They don't really care if it dies or if you get the card back. They're just slowing you down.
I feel a little bad for Wild Nicodle though, because his fate really is to be sideways, right? He's sitting there sideways. He's like, I'm going to attack again next turn, and then the other person, they're doing something, they're going off, they're trying. Like, he spends all of his time just tapped waiting.
Yeah.
Like when the Zoo player wins, the game's over, right? He's off sideboard. He just sits there tapped waiting for his turn.
Yeah.
There's a lot of every table you walk by. There's Wild Nicodle tapped, waiting for another chance to hit for the red side.
Yeah, and you're seeing those cards over. Another deck, it's an extended staple, is Affinity.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
People have talked about Aethersworn Canonist. Now, to be noted, the Canonist has been in a lot of the Zoo decks also. Okay. Again, just slowing people down. You know, I don't want you casting. You know, they don't have enough mana to cast 2 spells to turn in the. Yeah, they're just. But it's in the Affinity list. People are using.
How good is Master of Ethereum in Affinity?
People have replaced ATOG, which is spell snareable.
Oh, okay.
With Master of Ethereum, and then as a result, since the Master gets pretty big on his own and doesn't need the help from sacking all those artifacts and whatnot, there's been some talk about using Soulspire instead of Fatal Frenzy. A big debate right now. You know, do we? You know, what's our kill card in Affinity? Is it Fatal Frenzy? Is it Soulspire? There are some people talking in playtesting about Rite of Consumption. So. Soulspire seems to pair nicely with Master of Ethereum.
If you've got Master, I got to think
really like Trample. I really like Trample. I really like Fatal Frenzy. When we were testing the deck in New York, I mean, it was just a hard turn 3 kill deck. It's hard to argue with that.
Okay, what else you got?
Ad Nauseam.
Ah, yes.
This card was very much ballyhooed as a combo enabler. People were talking about something that looks a little similar to the all-in red deck, or stuff that was similar to some of the Storm decks where you would Ad Nauseam, you know, you'd ritual out an Ad Nauseam, drop a lot of rituals, drop a lot of, you know, cheap artifacts, and just have critical Storm. Okay. But where I've seen it being played here is in the Elf deck that we'd been talking about.
I don't know if there is the Elf deck yet.
Yes, and Elf deck.
There's an Elf engine, right? People have figured out, okay, Birchlow Ranger, Heritage Druid, you know, Glimpse, so that I can draw a bunch of elves and play them out, right? The mana engine is there, but what you do with that mana engine?
Yeah, I'm not sure I love Ad Nauseam in that deck. It feels like your deck has already sort of got a built-in Ad Nauseam. Right. But I've definitely seen it in multiple versions. Elvish.
I mean, Elvish Visionary's in all of them, right? We talked about the mana engine, but I mean, this guy is perfect, right? He's drawing a card on his own. He's an elf, so I mean, Visionary is exactly what that deck wanted.
Right. And one of the reasons.
But okay, fine. That still doesn't tell you. Like, what's your win? I saw Intruder Alarm in that deck.
Mirror Entity.
Alarm. I've seen Mirror Entity in that deck. So well, yeah, it's. You've got 1 million mana. They're all elves.
A popular version, a card Predator Dragon, which is on the next slide, is a card. Predator Dragon. I mean, it comes down on turn 2, turn 3 anyway.
Wow.
Comes out. It's huge. It's
Devour
2. Yeah, it's just like Devouring Greed was in that block. It's fantastic. It comes down and it's just a kill card. I've seen people playing Tarfiend, another Devour card, to waste people's hands.
Okay.
So sort of like a few, not a victory, but
have some leftover creatures.
You know, you get 4 or 5 of their cards, and you have a 15/15.
Devour seems like it's a pretty powerful mechanic.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it reads like a drawback when you first see it, but I mean, it does a lot of stuff. It's, you know, really, usually the cards give you a good effect. You've got creatures that are disposable because you played them for their 187s.
Speaking of things that have a lot of effects, there's the charms.
Sure.
So I actually have the slides here, so I don't have to. I have little notes on my hand, so I can remember all the different things that all the different charms do. We've seen people playing Jund Charm in response to the Elf deck. I've seen it coming out of some sideboards. It's an instant speed Pyroclasm. Yeah. It also removes target player's graveyard from the. It could be a Tormod's Crypt.
Sure.
It's fantastic.
the Dredge players aren't happy that that's randomly showing up to
Sure,
Pyroclasm.
absolutely, absolutely. It's a Pyroclasm and a Tormod crypt.
Right.
Bant Charm is a card that a lot of people were talking about in the Zoo deck as a card, you know, destroying artifacts, putting a creature on the bottom of the library, countering an instant, but it's actually shown up here in a full-fledged Bant deck.
Really?
Yeah, there's someone. He was 2-0 at one point. So I don't know where he is at right now.
Okay.
But the deck has Bant Charms.
Okay.
Rocks War Monk.
Is this the next slide?
I think it's the next slide. Battle Grace Angel, Sarkonval. Like it's like a block constructed. It's like a Shards of Alara block constructed deck. In the second round, he beat his opponent, and his opponent looked like he was near tears. He's like, "That's not an extended deck." You know, it was just
powerful cards.
Unexpected. But yeah, Bant has shown up, and we've seen people talking in Standard about like playing Shore Crasher Mimic and following it up with a Rocks War Monk and then getting in, and there's definitely blue, green, white is definitely an exciting constructed arrangement of colors.
And the mana in Extended works out pretty much whatever you want to play.
Right.
You can.
So, and then finally, I've been seeing just cards slotting into different decks.
Okay.
I saw a slide deck, Astral Slide, Rip
Is
Slide.
still good in this format? I mean, it's still legal, right?
It's people were talking about it as sort of a wedge deck that could, you know, depending on what the field is like. I mean, it's really good against Zoo.
Yeah, all right.
It's really good against Zoo.
Moment's Peace is gone.
Moment's Peace is gone. Here's a fog that cycles.
Yeah.
Fate Stitcher. Not a card that was on my radar at all, but I saw a Dredge deck.
Oh, they just unearth it.
They can unearth it. It taps or untaps, so it can fix your mana. I don't know. I mean, I imagine it could do a lot of different things.
Sure.
Get a blocker out of the way. Who knows? But it's there. It's being played. And finally, my favorite card is Ranger of Eos. This is Antoine Rouel's invitational card, nicknamed Bantoine Rouel, to go back to Bant.
Yep.
And, you know, seeing some Zoo decks that have one or two of these, just to like, almost like card drawing, right?
We talked about how many good one-drops there are.
Yeah, play it, just pick up 2 really good one-drops, 2 situational one-drops. But I also saw it being played in a deck with Martyr of Sands, which is definitely one of my first impulses when I saw this card.
Sure.
Player went, got two Martyr of Sands, had a handful of other white cards, and the Zoo player just slumped. He's like, I can't deal enough damage to ever deal with what you've just shown me. So
that's a lot of cards.
It's a lot of cards.
And then it's extended, right? I mean, it's usually expected, okay, a new set comes out, you expect to have an impact on the Pro Tour, but Extended's a pretty big format.
Yeah, you can play with anything from Onslaught forward.
Right.
And people are definitely looking at Shards, and it's having a very, very big impact on this format.
So there you go. Shards of Alara take it all over the place here at Pro Tour Berlin. Just a couple of rounds in yet. Stay tuned to the Tournament Center. Brian and I will keep bringing you coverage all weekend long.